Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dee, and welcome to Uneven. How you doing? You might have noticed the morning sounds, the sounds of morning with the birds chirping in the trees. I am out taking a walk this morning. We're up at my wife's parents' house, spending some time with her dad since he's going through these health complications. And I'm out for a morning walk. Thought I'd bring you along. I hope that's okay. Sometimes in life, I think we get overwhelmed, not just with too many things, too much to do, but with too much negativity in our lives. And it's hard to see the way out when things get darkest. And I think that's a lesson, a skill, a tool, whatever you want to call it, that is one to work on, because it's hard to work on it when you're in the middle of it, but it's good to work on it when you're not, and then you have it available when you really need it. The problem is when things are going well, we forget to practice. I am guilty of that probably more than anyone. We enjoy that good time in our life. We enjoy being physically able to do things and mentally able to take on the world and positive and optimistic and hopeful and all the good things that go with that. But there are these other times when not just one, but sometimes multiple things aren't going your way. And that's when it's hard to see that hope, hard to find that hope, hard to see that optimistic future, hard to figure out how you're going to get through this year, this day, the next hour for some of us. We do. We do get through it. But it's finding that hope, finding that thing to cling to, finding that mindset to help you get through those times, I think is important. And I'm talking about this because, and I don't want to be dark all the time on this. I realize that I want to find a nice balance of, hopefulness and optimistic things, and that's why I try to talk about it. And also, share the difficulties that I go through and share the difficulties that you might have gone through and through your emails and comments, or share things that we are struggling with, such as with anxiety or depression or pain, which so many people deal with so often. I think for some of us, we go through life feeling good most of the time, and that's wonderful. But not everybody does that. Whether it's emotional pain or physical pain, some people deal with that every day. I've had my fair share of it, I will admit, and right now I'm dealing with some new pain that is also bringing its own anxiety and fear and struggles with it. In fact, right now as I'm walking with you, I'm getting this pinprick pain in my hip right now. I've got this neuropathy or nerve pain or just hyperactive or hyperalgesia, which my doctor said it might be. It could be other factors, and it might be a mix of things. Rarely is it just one thing. But it's new for me, and whenever I get a new symptom of some kind, along with it usually comes the anxiety and the fear. And that fear is not just, can I handle this, or will it ever go away, but also, will it get worse? This is just the beginning. And I go there quite often. I know that thought pattern well. But as I'm doing right now, I just keep moving. I keep walking. This morning at 4 a.m., I woke up with a stabbing pain in the outside of my right foot. I've had this pain maybe about 10 times in the last 4 weeks or so. It's the kind of pain that grabs your attention and you'll do anything to stop it. And you can't go back to sleep and you just want it to go away. And for me, it usually is happening in the morning while I'm lying in bed. I've had many theories on what it is. I've done tons of research online trying to figure it out, and I have some ideas. Probably neuropathy. It could be some plantar fasciitis tight. It could be a pinched nerve. It could be all kinds of things. So there's a lot of possibilities here. But the fear comes with the pain. And here I am dealing with this and trying to figure out how to manage it and how to get a good night's sleep. When you become afraid to sleep because you're going to wake up with this shooting pain in your foot, then it leads to other complications. I think you know what I mean by that. When I talk about the dark times when you get overwhelmed, I think that's one of those times for me now, which is we're dealing with serious illness with my father-in-law and health conditions, so that's where I want to be. That is my primary focus, is to be there, to be supportive of them, to be supportive of my wife more than anything else. Why does this hit at that time? These are questions so many of us ask ourselves when we have multiple things hit us at once. And that's where I am this morning. I woke up at 4 with a stabbing pain, and I started doing more internet research trying to figure out a cause. And it's a game I have played for almost 10 years now with a benzodiazepine experience, and I'm used to it. And I just work through it and try to find something else to focus on for a while, like taking a walk and spending time with other people. As I'm walking now, I'm getting these prickly pains in my system and some poke pains here or there and some stiff muscles and stuff. So I really do believe it's an overall neurological condition. But the one in my foot might be unique. It might be separate. You don't know. The joys of chronic conditions, let's just put it that as a generality, whether it's a mental health condition, severe anxiety, severe agoraphobia or panic disorder or whatever it is you're dealing with, or it's a condition like I have, which is neurological, left over from benzodiazepine use, or it's or chronic back pain, which is one of the biggest ones, sciatica, or all these other things that can just really affect your life. And when that's going on, it's so hard to think of other stuff. I really want to be focused on this podcast now and on, starting to promote that more, which I really haven't done yet. And building a little more infrastructure out and starting to build a community on the website for people to come and talk and have a place to hang out. And I'm really trying to build that, but when you have all these complications in your life, like that have been hitting me and my wife lately, well, they take precedence, and you kind of have to focus on that for a little bit. That's just life. But I think we got to start to figure out is when all these things pile up and you really think the world's against you, how do you power through that? And I think that's a fair question. Sometimes there is a blessing in those other things that are going on. I know it doesn't sound like a blessing at all, and it isn't, but sometimes when somebody else is struggling and you try to help that person and you're trying to focus on their needs or the needs of somebody else in your life, like with me and my father-in-law and my wife, it pulls you out of your own problems for a bit. And when it seems so overwhelming, like how can you be hit with so many depressing things to deal with at once, sometimes one of those things actually relieves some of the pressure of the other one, and vice versa. And I think I'm experiencing a little bit of that now. But also I think a lot of it just comes back to our mindset. If this is a benzo symptom and one related, they come and go. And so I have the hope that this will pass. I had dysphagia a year and a half ago. My throat was tightening and I couldn't swallow very well, and it was becoming a problem. I mean, I was working around it, but it was becoming a problem, and it was scary, and I didn't know what it was, and it was a new symptom, and it was all this kind of stuff. But I went to the doctors. I got it checked out. I even had my esophagus dilated during a procedure and had them checking me with an endoscopy and everything like that. And I did all that stuff just to make sure it wasn't something else. But in the end, the truth is, I think it went away on its own. And I'm hopeful this will be the case with this too. But at the same time, I'm looking for other causes and other things that I might be doing to cause it or exacerbate it. And that's the game we play. That's the game we play. I took a brief pause there to walk by somebody. It's weird, I'm holding this recorder with a dead cat on top, dead mouse, depending on how you call it, which is the fuzzy sock to avoid wind. And I look kind of funny sometimes. But then you come outside and you let the sun hit your face. And you move your muscles and move your joints. And you listen to the birds in the tree, as I woke up to. And watch the ant colony digging through the crevices of the sidewalk. And you watch a man walking his dog, and a woman pushing her walker along the sidewalk, and some kids playing in the park, and you forget your own troubles for a little while. Life is a challenge, but it's also supposed to be. I know most of us, when asked, would say, why can't life be easier? Why can't there be less suffering? Why can't there be less complications? Why don't I have the money I need? Why don't I have the partner I desire? Why don't I have the life that I dream of? But I believe life and success at life, and what's the term I'm looking for? Living a fulfilling life has both good and bad in it. We never appreciate the good. Just look at life. We never appreciate the good if we don't have some bad. It's those bad times that make us so grateful for the good times. Life is a balance. This podcast is about balance. And there are those dark times, there are those tough times, but it also makes those great times feel so wonderful and so exceptional because you hadn't had that in a while. I love that sound. I got some traffic in the background too, but this bird out here in the tree in the middle of the field has got a pretty song waking me up this morning. I think we have to find our own hope. And it can lie in all kinds of places. What are you living for? Something that's going to come, something you already have. I think the something you already have is the best one because you can cling to that, but maybe there's a hope of something. of a better life, of being pain-free, of being free of your anxieties, of being, or at least being able to do things you haven't been able to do in a long, long time. I think we have to have that thing we cling to. For me, that thing I cling to often is my wife and my life with her. I enjoy that. That's the rock of my foundation, of my life. It's my foundation. It's where I find most of my joy. And so I want to take care of that. And that's a purpose for me. That's probably my number one purpose right now, is taking care of that relationship, taking care of that person. Because I value that more than anything else in my life right now. It could be anything. Like I said, it could be something you have or something you might have. I have this dream that my podcast might reach more people and speak to more people and may actually help reduce misery, both for people on benzodiazepines on the Benzo Free podcast and for people dealing with the complications of life and anxiety and all that kind of thing on this podcast. And that hope also keeps me moving. And as I've mentioned many times on this podcast and my other podcast, talking with you lifts me out of some dark days sometimes, as it does this morning. What's your outlet like that? What is your outlet to lift your spirits? We've had this conversation a couple times. I think I did a podcast where I was talking about what's that go-to, what's that place that will lift your spirits when things are dark. Sometimes it's just burying yourself in the research, trying to figure out a way out of that hole you're in. Whether it's physical pain or emotional pain or just feeling lost. For me, there's a belief in a couple things that keep me going. I believe in a supreme being. I don't know what it looks like. I'm not a dogmatic person. I don't have a strong religious faith. I was raised Christian in a Lutheran church and had some Methodism along the way. But I've gone my own way, and I don't have that devout biblical background. It's not who I am. But I sense that there's a spirit who's unifying us, who's guiding us. I don't know the answer, but I sense that. And that belief system gets you through some really difficult times. Believing in somebody else out there looking out for you. May not be giving you everything you want. May even think you need to learn a few lessons and maybe even suffer now and then. As maybe this is for me. But somebody who's got your back and is watching things. I feel like that's there, and it gives me some confidence, some faith. I just came upon the golf cart traffic jam. 3 different golf carts, 3 different golfers, all getting ready for the morning. I'm walking through a nicer community, not where my in-laws live, but a nicer neighborhood nearby that backs to a golf course. And a lot of these people here have golf carts, and it's kind of fun to watch them head off to the golf course in the morning. Maybe that might be me one day. I like golf. I don't play it very much, and I haven't always been physically able to play it more recently, but I like to. It's a relaxing sport, I think, for most people, but it's also requires certain abilities that I may lack sometimes, and that's okay too. You ever notice how sometimes I'm on a tangent and I just, or on a thought and my brain just suddenly goes a different way and I don't know how to get back? Oh, I do that sometimes. Let me go over here and take a seat. I'm in a green belt here, a little park area between two different housing areas. The really fancy ones here with the golf carts and backing to the golf course. And then where my in-laws are, which is still nice, but it's nearby and it's just smaller patio homes. And I thought I'd take a seat on the bench and finish this up with you. I don't have the answers. I think I often start recording these things thinking I'm going to wind up with this one answer. And I don't have it. I'm still working on my answers for some of these things. And my answers probably won't be your answers. Pain is a tough one to overcome, and it affects everything in your life. And I've had pain with this condition times in the past, but this one's different. And the new ones always scare you because this one in my foot, especially, it comes out of the blue and I don't know when it's going to happen. And often in the morning when I'm lying in bed and suddenly, bam, you're just jolted like, somebody stabbed you in the side of the foot with a knife. It's fun, I can tell you right now. But I also have all this overall nerve sensitivity right now and prickly sensitivity. My akathisia, the inner restlessness, is really active and has been for a while. So something else is going on. And that foot might be just tied to it. And it might just be a wave of symptoms from the benzos, because that's often what it is. Probably brought on by a recent bout of COVID. And I've done that many times. But I think the mental struggles are the hardest ones. When you get something like that, how do you work through that? How do you get the point of, say for me in another 10 years, where I'm just driving a golf cart onto the course in the morning and I'm going to enjoy a 18 round with some friends? I think there's a financial requirement for that. I don't think I have at this point. And I think there's also a physically ableness. What's the term I'm looking for? A physical ability. There we go. That is also required for that, which I don't have yet, but I'm going to keep working towards. But like I mentioned, I don't have the answers. I can only tell you one thing. There are some answers. I think there's answers for what causing our difficulties. I think there's answers that might even be some solutions for our difficulties. I think there's answers to how we mentally handle our difficulties, even if our difficulties are mental, which some of mine are. But maybe it's just not the time for us to have them yet. Maybe they're not going to mean much to us if we're not working towards them, if we don't earn them. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe it even gets a little worse before it gets better. But I think we have to believe in the long game. There's one trip through this life, as far as I know. Is there reincarnation? Maybe. And maybe I come back again. Is there heaven after this? I think that would be great. I don't know. Do I get to see people who I've lost in the past and go someplace? And I don't know. That's the skeptic in me. I don't know. And that's why following a rote religion is difficult for me, because I have this natural skepticism. Makes it hard to me instantly believe in just things that are other people recite or propose or whatever the terms I'm looking for here. Who knows? But I think it comes back to hope, and we talk about that a lot. And not just hope, because hope means we're looking to the future too much, but hope blended with mindfulness, I think, is good. Mindfulness about being in the present. I can sit here and worry about tonight and waking up tomorrow morning and with a shooting pain in my foot, or not being able to sleep because I got these pinpricks all over my body, or the akathisia's running, or I'm comforting my wife and we're dealing with more bad news on my father-in-law, and I mean, I can think about all that stuff, and that can overtake me. Or I can just be in the moment right now at my father and mother-in-law's house and be with them and enjoy my time with them, regardless of how short that may be. And be supportive for them, helping them do things and get through this. And know that you're making a difference in other people's lives and in your own. And that's, I think, sometimes where we should be. So that, I think some mindfulness and some hope are good things to carry us through. I'm going to get through this. I got a lot of resilience. I'm going to hang on and I'm keep fighting. And I know my case, for those of you who have come off benzodiazepines, sounds dire, but don't forget, and I do want to remind people of this each time, but I'm an extreme case. The vast majority of people who come off benzodiazepines after long-term use do so and recover far more rapidly than I do. But there's that minority of us that it takes a long time, and it's a difficult path. For those of you, hang in there. We're going to do this. I can't promise you solutions. I can't promise you answers, and I can't promise you that tomorrow's going to be better. But I can promise you I'll be here. And I can promise we're a community, and I can promise you we're going to work together to try to make our lives better, whether it's coming off of benzodiazepines, whether it's dealing with chronic anxiety, whether it's chronic depression, whether it's fibromyalgia, whether it's chronic pain or cancer, or just being sad and losing hope and having trouble finding the good in the world. I've been there too. I think we all need a dose of resilience, of patience, of fortitude, and of courage. Maybe I wake up with foot pain for the next 6 months every morning. It only lasts about 30 seconds, and it goes away. And if that's how I have to live, then that's how I have to live. But I doubt that. Usually, once I research the heck out of these things, and once I figure out maybe some solutions or whatever, it fades away. And I wait for the next one. It's a pattern. But I'm going to get back on my feet, and I'm going to head back to the house, and I'm going to go check in on my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, and my wife. At least for right now in my life, they're my focus. Me being with them is providing some comfort to them in a time of difficulty. And it's providing meaning for me. And that's enough for now. That's enough for now. I love you all. Enjoy the birds. Enjoy the sun. Enjoy the fresh air outside. and enjoy another day on this planet of amazing wonder, mixed in with a little bit of crap now and then. But we'll get through this. I hope you have a good day, and I'm sorry if I brought you down. I promise I will be more positive next time. But this is me, and that's what I promised you at the beginning. And that's what I'll keep doing. Have a good day. Bye now.
Hey, this is Dee. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out our podcast. I do need to remind everyone that this podcast is for informational purposes only and should never be considered medical, psychological, or professional health advice of any kind. If you or someone you know is dealing with significant mental health issues, please seek professional help. Resources can be found in our show notes and on our website at unevenpodcast.com. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you on the flip side.